Hello. Thank you guys for joining us. My name is Tiffany Curry, and I'm coming to you today with a dynamic group of phenomenal women. And this is a session that you just don't want to miss. I am from Houston, Texas, and today I'm on board with the women of NAWRB, the National Association of Women in Real Estate Businesses. And we're going to be talking about the number 2 principle of the NDILC, and that's keep achieving. So I want to hop in and just get us started right out. We have a great group of people. I want to go ahead and get us started out with Nina Fabry. And Nina, if you could introduce yourself, where you're from, what you do, and let's just dive in about how you keep achieving.
Thank you, Tiffany, and hello, everybody. My name is Nina Fabry, and I manage partnerships for Home Services of America. I'm based out of Miami, where we love our salsa and our Cuban food, and it's great to see everybody.
Thank you so much for joining us. Well, and Nina and I have become acquainted as a certified delegate spokeswoman for the organization. I love the fact that Desiree has brought together so many phenomenal women with so many rich and diverse backgrounds. And Nina and I just realized we are a part of the same umbrella under Home Services of America, as I am the broker owner of Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Tiffany Curry and Company Realtors here in Houston. So we are truly excited, and I want to dive in and I want to introduce Nancy Abondo. Nancy, can you hop in and introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Nancy Abondo, like you said, and I am Senior Vice President at Matno Financial. I hone in particularly in strategic products and affordable lending, and I try to lead with my authentic self, and that is how I keep on achieving. I think part of being a leader is staying authentic to yourself. So thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you guys, and we'll keep on going.
Well, we're excited to have you, and congratulations to you as well, Nancy. Nancy was installed with the NAWRB chapter in her local area. Tell us what position you're going to be doing for 2021.
I will be doing the vice president position for NAWRB. I'm at Matno Financial. Like I said, I'm part of affordable lending, so sustainable home ownership is something I'm very passionate about.
Wow. So you guys are going to love this, and all of these dynamic women and all the journeys that they lead. NAWRB is a great organization that I had the pleasure of exploring much more a couple of years ago as the liaison for the organization on behalf of NAR. Locally here in Houston, NAWRB is a fabulous organization, and I'm so excited to see you grow in that organization this year. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes, thank you.
And then, of course, I want to go ahead and move to the dynamic Leora Rusin. I'm sorry, Leora. Leora is just a dynamo in so many ways. I love her authenticity because she is just amazing, and she's an open book, which today, as women, especially as women in leadership and women in business, we have to have that. We have to have that authenticity. And Leora, you just give us that. And I wish I had a glass of wine right now. We left off yesterday, but I want to go ahead and let you introduce yourself and your fantastic journey as far as where you are.
Sure. Thank you for the too much of an intro. And I love how, Desiree, you just laugh every time I'm on screen. I don't know why. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Good.
Okay, good. I'm leaving an impression either way, right? So I'm Leora Rusin. I'm the SVP of Wholesale Operations at Equity Prime Mortgage. We now just go by EPM. In addition to that, I'm the managing editor of Mortgage Women magazine. And I've been involved with NAWRB now, NAWRB, for, almost 4 years now, which is awesome and amazing. And Desiree and I have been on a very interesting journey during that time. And as Tiffany mentioned, I'm that open book. I leave nothing on the table. I am what I am, and as Popeye says, I am what I am. But I'm always looking, in the spirit of keep achieving. I'm always looking to grow. I'm always looking to learn. this industry is always changing at the drop of a dime. And if you don't stay on top of those changes, it's easy to become irrelevant. It's easy to be out of market with what's going on. And so in the spirit of that, one of the things I'm really excited about for 2021 is I was just recently also installed as the secretary on the board of directors for the Veterans Association of Real Estate Professionals in the Fresno chapter. So being a veteran myself, it's exciting to be able to continue to give back to other service members. And it just in that spirit of giving and the spirit of just, keep achieving. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what I can accomplish through that collaboration with NAWRB and with NAWRB.
Well, that's awesome. And I want to just stop and say thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. And so next, we want to introduce Angie Weeks. Angie is a dynamo, and also on the West Coast, we have a lot of West Coast going on. So you guys are definitely going to have to host something on the West Coast going forward. Angie, come on and introduce yourself.
Hello, ladies. Thanks so much for joining up today. It's always nice to see you. My name is Angie Weeks. I am a broker associate with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in Newport Beach. And I sell sunshine. It's really fun. But in the terms of keep achieving, one of the things that I try to do is stay accountable, and being a member of groups like this, being a certified delegate spokeswoman, showing up at the chamber meetings and whatnot, that helps me to keep achieving. And I love what Leora said too about keeping on learning. Like, education is so critical and crucial. My Audible app is definitely like one of my top 10 apps, and staying fresh with new books and concepts and things like that, I think just help us all keep achieving. And that's part of why I love being aligned with you ladies, because every time I get on a call with you, you're teaching me something new, or I'm connecting with somebody new. So thank you guys.
I love it. And I see we have a special guest in the background. Angie, can you tell us who he is?
Oh yeah, we've got Captain back there. He is my 14-year-old blue pit bull, and I apologize in advance if he gets antsy and barks.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, thanks for joining us, Angie. And last but not least, I want to introduce the founder, Desiree Patno. Desiree, come on in and tell us a little about yourself.
Well, about myself. Well, thank you all for being on the call, and also for being a delegate. This has been a lifelong dream to really connect and get more women to not only communicate, but also leverage each other. Too often I started this organization 12 years ago to really amplify the uniqueness of our skill set, industries, and experiences, so we could help see that we're not just a facade. We all have this depth that goes with it. And with that being said, I'm very honored to be able to connect the mindset of the industries and the issues that are going down there. So the idea is that with myself, I've been in real estate for 30 years. I own my own real estate brokerage. I started the organization so we could connect industries and levels of all different classifications, not only from our normal multicultural classifications, but classification of industries, classifications of economic status, and classifications of global imprint, that I want to call it, for the social impact that we do with it. So with that being said, I don't want to steal the time away from it, because this is your time to shine. I want to plug and play to get everyone to showcase things that no one else has heard. So I don't want to be a repeat process. Keep achieving is also about new opportunities, new envelopes, new ways defining ourselves. So we have this box right now. I want all of us to go out of that box and that frame, like we can touch and hold and feel and synergize each other. And this is what we're trying to bring to everyone around we have, so we can be more forceful and feeling and connect. So with that, take it away.
All right. Well, thank you, Desiree. I love it. And so I do have to thank you for creating this platform and connecting so many amazing women from across the nation. This has been phenomenal, especially I think right now more than ever during these times where we are kind of isolated and in our homes. And this is a great opportunity for us to really appreciate organizations like this that we are a part of, that reflect who we are, the struggles that we've been through, and how do we find inspiration, which is going to be our word for today, is inspire. Finding that inspiration right now during these times and just moving and pushing forward, how do we keep achieving and finding that inspiration? So today you guys are going to be in for a great ride because we're going to have an open dialogue and an open forum where you're going to hear from these dynamic ladies as they're going to share with you, what inspires them? What have they been through? How did they get to where they are? And what inspires them to keep achieving? How do we move forward? And I think we're just going to open it up. And instead of calling on you, I'm going to let you guys dive right in. Who would like to go ahead and get started and just give some inspiration this morning?
I don't mind starting. I'll talk about a challenge that I had and a passion that I have through real estate and education and homeownership. It's called Homeownership Day, and it's something that it honestly started through failures. I was trying to give my own home buyer seminars and doing all the work and press releases and so much busy work to get maybe 10 people into our office to learn about buying a home. And I said, gosh, I want to get this info out to more people. And I knew that by myself, I wouldn't be able to do that. So I was the chair of Young Professionals Network during 2012. And I took this to them and I said, you guys, if we all come together and do a big educational promotion, it'll be less work for all of us and more value for the entire community. And so they were on board, and we aligned ourselves with Chapman University, Orange County Register the first few years, and they were still around. And, it was something that it was great to see it unfold and people attend and things like that. So this year it was a big challenge. And, with everybody not meeting anymore, I was like tired, honestly, of, still helping to run this big event. And so I really had to do some soul searching, and I came up with, why would I stop this event right now? This is the opportunity to push it out to, instead of a few hundred people, now we can get it out to thousands of people if we do it virtually and we bring people on and do videos and educate about home ownership, which is ultimately the goal of this event. And on top of that, now it's going to be online for 365 days a year, not just the one-time event with a couple recordings from a couple speakers. So I'm proud of myself for pushing through on that. And, during all the other chaos that's happening, it's just like, trying to hone in on like, where was my heart at? And do I still want to do these things? Because, I think a lot of us realized last year that we are doing too much. Jennifer said that on our call last night, and we don't need to do everything that we've been doing. We need to push out the other stuff and bring in what's important. So that's my soapbox.
I love that, Angie. And I love that you said two things. One, yay, YPN. The Young Professionals Network is where I started, and basically what has leveraged my career and basically engaged me in a different community. But the second thing that I loved about what you said was collaboration. I think that's the biggest thing that, that you can leverage right now, which was another word that you used earlier. Collaboration just takes us so much farther when we work together rather than solo. Together, everyone achieves more. That's the acronym that we used to have for team when I was coming through YPN. And I still believe that today. I mean, you talked about community, and, what I loved about that was as a real estate practitioner, you still recognize that the value is in community. The value is in collaborating and bringing other people along with you. I think those things are major milestones. So I love that you said that, because I think those are words we need to hear today. People need to know that, no, we don't need to do everything ourselves. It's okay to ask and get help so that we can be greater together.
Yeah, team up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, sorry, Nancy, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, but I was just going to say something. I feel like as we get more experience in business and as we grow, we learn that it's okay to ask, right? And so many times I remember in my 20s being in business, and I started a brokerage when I was in my mid-20s in Miami, and I had a business partner, and I was afraid sometimes to ask for help. And it was through challenges and mistakes of not asking that I learned that it's important to always ask for help if you can, right? Reach out and collaborate with the people around you, right? And surround yourself with the right people, with the right mindset, because at the end of the day, keep achieving is a mindset. and it's really becomes part of your lifestyle, right?
Yes. Another thing that stood up that Angie said is she started off with it. I started off with a series of failures. And that's very powerful because that's when people stop achieving or keep achieving, like, right, which is our topic of today, is they fail and they said, okay, that's it. I'm done. I didn't do good at this. I'm not going to do it again. And I think that is where you should not stop. You should keep achieving. You should celebrate your failures, because from your failures is where you'll learn what not to do. What can I do differently next time? So I think we should learn to celebrate our failures, because sometimes that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th failure gets you to that end result where the 6th time, 7th time, 10th time that you tried, it was a win. And that win is worth it.
I love that. I love that. And that's a huge statement with you both. And congratulations, Nina. I didn't know that you started a brokerage in your 20s, especially in Miami. That's huge. Very huge, especially as a woman in a major city. I just love that. And Nancy, you're talking about failures. I think failure is the number one thing that I would say that we in general as women struggle with, because we feel like we have to do everything right. So I love the fact that you led into that, Nancy, just saying it's okay to fail. It's okay to fall down and get back up. That's a part of life. So I'm loving this. We're having a great time this morning. Leora, what do you think?
It's funny that you mentioned failing. I just picked up a book that I'm going to start reading next week as part of a program I'm doing. But John Maxwell, I know a lot of people know who John Maxwell is. He's put out, he's a great motivational speaker, thought leader. And I picked up a book called Failing Forward. So I'm really looking forward to reading that. So something else that I'm doing to keep achieving for this year, which I think is insane, is for anyone who hasn't heard, there's a program called 75 Hard. And I'm starting it on Monday. And I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but 75 Hard on the surface looks like it's just a physical challenge, but it's so much more than that. It's a mental toughness challenge. So for 75 days, I have to follow a very strict regimen that includes reading 10 pages a day, drinking a gallon of water, abstaining from alcohol. I have to do 2 45-minute workouts every single day. I have to take a progress picture, and I can't have any cheat days. I have to follow some kind of diet that I choose, and I can't have any cheat days or any cheat meals. And for the entire 75 days, every single day, one of the workouts has to be outdoors. So it doesn't matter what the weather's like, you have to do it outdoors. And if you miss any one of those pieces, even if you missed to take a progress pic, you have to start all over again. So
right there.
That's intense.
That's motivation.
It is motivation, and I'm inspired by the people who've been able to accomplish this. And some of the people that I've seen complete this challenge were people who were not in very good shape. They were not in a good place mentally, and I think of it like when I was in the military and I went through boot camp. It feels like I'm going into another boot camp. It's going to strip me down, it's going to break me down, and then it's going to build me back up, which is exactly how it felt when I was in boot camp. And there's people who went through this process who were, overweight, diabetic, whatever the case may be, and they came out of it not just feeling physically better, but they were in a better headspace. And right now, with everything that we're going through with the pandemic and not having access to some of those outlets to keep our brains fresh and to keep us motivated, we got to come up with other ways on how to make this happen. So that I'm like terrified. I'm not going to lie. I'm like super, super legit terrified, but I'm going to do it. And I'm really excited, but I'm going to start out by reading the book Failing Forward, because failure has always been a huge crutch in my life. And I know it is for a lot of people, and, especially women, because it's so hard for us to get a seat at the table. It feels like sometimes we have to work that much harder just to get recognized. I was on a podcast yesterday where I was asked, when you go into a salary negotiation, what is it like for you? And I said, well, I usually have to do way more research. I usually have to have a laundry list of all the awesome things that I've done. Whereas when it's a male, they can just usually show up at the table and be like, I'm cool, look at what I've done, and not even have to provide any additional information or backup. And they're like, yeah, you're right, you're cool. You get the salary you want. And so I look at my failures as opportunities as opportunities to learn. And so when I'm in that position again, when I'm in a position where I'm looking for a promotion or a pay increase, that I have the tools to better advocate for myself, and using those failures as those learning tools.
Wow, I love it. I love it. Desiree, anything you want to chime in?
Yeah, I mean, I live by a motto. I love some of the stuff that's being said here because it's so fresh and new, in the sense that, Nina, you talk about ask, you get to the point, well, is it okay to ask, and now I ask. I live by the motto that everything I've ever done, I have to ask, why? Why do you do this? Why, ever since a little girl? How do you fix that car? I'm the mechanic of the entire family. So I have all brothers. I have 4 sons. And so if a car breaks down, I know how to go fix it. So because I always ask, I've never done anything, gone anywhere. How does the airplane fly? I got my private pilot's license. How does this work? How does this work? Because I always want to know why. So when you get into—
You have your pilot's license?
It's not active right now, but yes.
Oh my God.
No, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're not
what do
going
you not
there.
know how to do? That's crazy.
I went all the
That's
stuff.
awesome.
I did all my training, all that kind of good stuff. So no, we're not going there. This is when I was 16, girls, when it was, a long time ago, no. But the idea is that, no, you talk to Erica. But the idea is that everything I've ever done is that my biggest client that I ever got was, can you do a BPO? Can you do this? Sure, you have a form? You just ask. You always ask whatever you need to get done. And I put that with the analogy of no. No is not in my vocabulary. Don't tell me no, you're not going to do it. Why aren't you going to do it? Why can't this be done? Why can't you close today when you got 20 minutes left in the day? You still have 20 minutes. What's the problem? That is a reality. And if you think about real estate, think about life right now. Time is of the essence to make sure that everything is clockwork, that how you do it, why you do it. And if you do it for the feeling, then take that moment to draw into it. So thank you for that, for Nina. Ask is everything. And I believe, I think that the reason I believe, Leora, that you're going to excel at this 75-day program is the focus, the mental focus. You talk about having that chip on your shoulder and having that, inner thoughts and going in, someone being in some of your posts, you talk about renting free space. How dare you being in my mind? You're not going to be able to have a fair mental space to allow other thoughts to come in, because you're going to be, no, I've got to do this. Oh my gosh, because of that failure, you're going to be committed to that cause. And that, I think, is what we all need to keep achieving, is find something that you're committed and passionate to do, and you're going to succeed. So that keep achieving, put an exclamation next to it, because then you're going to say, what is it? And find that passion. So I think all of us have something we're going to put 2021 and drive it. And that's my core, is that what you're talking about. So it's powerful.
And I love that. So I would love to hear all of you amazing ladies, what's one big goal that you have for this year? What's the one thing that's going to have you keep achieving for 2021?
Well, I love that. I love that you're leading in here, and I'm going to go ahead and answer that, and then I'll circle us back, because you guys have really come in with some very powerful statements, and a couple of them that I just want to definitely expand on, especially for women. A big goal for me this year. So this is the start of our second year as a brokerage. So we came up, I think, a couple of months before COVID-19 hit, and the world just kind of got pulled from underneath us. So on the podcast that Desiree and I did yesterday, we talked about for us this year, it was about growth. So we want to grow this year as far as our agent count and as far as the people that we're serving. And in that, I love the fact that you're talking about collaboration. I love this fact that you're talking about asking. So a goal for me is for our people to understand, collaboration is a big thing in order for them to grow. And in order for us to grow as a company, We need the collaboration of our people. So this is going to be a big year for us in that regard. And these words are just so huge from you guys today. So thank you, ladies, for sharing.
So for me, I have, sorry?
See, she has a goal of 80 people that she forgot to set. 80 people are your goal is to have, and for 2021 is to join your organization. That's huge.
Yes, that's huge. Well, for a city like Houston, it's not so much of a huge number because we have a huge database of agents. Most of them are not productive, but 80 solid people is what we're looking for. So we talked about yesterday, we're looking for 80 good people, 80 honest people, 80 ethical people, because what we learned last year was that your people matter. Our people are our strength. They can make or break an organization. And so that was a learning experience for me. And it was a eye-opening experience for me because I think as women, we just kind of look at the bright side all the time. We don't really recognize that in this arena, you know, with 1.4 million people being licensed realtors in the United States, it's a different animal. So it's a different industry. And so we had to learn what type of company we wanted to build, what our organization was going to look like. So our goal for this year was aligning the right people that fit our organization to get to what we were trying to build. So that's my goal for the year, and I'm truly excited for that.
So congratulations, Tiffany, and I have no doubt that you'll be able to achieve that.
Thank you.
You're a trailblazer.
Thank you so much.
So for me, I guess I have personal and business goals, right? Personally, it's just to continue to grow and challenge myself in situations like what you said, Leora. You know, you're terrified, right, about this new 75-day, challenge, but it's only when you challenge yourself and you're terrified that you grow, right, and you keep achieving. And so personally, I started taking a marketing seminar by Seth Godin, which I love. I love all his books. I'm a big fan of his. And I've just been growing personally, through that seminar. And then business-wise, and just continuing to do these, these kinds of seminars and reading books so that I can continue to grow, right, personally. And then in terms of business, I'd say, I manage partnerships for Home Services of America. And what that means is, I want to create partnerships that are going to empower our brokers and our brands, right, and our agents to be the best that they can be. And so this year, my goal is to grow the client services side of that. And I'm just going through kind of like a journey right now of what that looks like and looking at the industry as a whole and seeing the changes that are happening, which, I mean, the real estate business just continues to just evolve, right? And it's just amazing how that continues to happen at such a fast rate, especially with technology now, which has entered that space about 10 years ago. So I'm just looking at that, and that's one of my goals as well.
I love it. I totally love it. And I love the fact that you said one word that I thought was key. We're just bringing out the words today, challenge myself. That is huge. I think, especially right now, as we're at home, we're trying to find ourselves, because one of the things I think that it's okay that we share, and that I had to learn is that, we are afraid, some of us at home. And that's something that, we sometimes don't let ourselves know that. We can't find that in ourselves. But I love the fact that you said challenge yourself. And I love the fact that you talked about reading new material, new books and workshops, because I think that is the only way to expand your mindset. So this is an amazing conversation. I'm going to let it continue to flow.
I'd like to amplify on some of these conversations we've had behind the scenes. Nina and I were talking about the silos. One of the reasons NAWRB was formed was to connect the industries, connect the different economic footprints, and to connect the different mindsets. And what better can we fall into 2020, what we saw, and now moving forward, that with technology, there's no such thing as being in your own little world. Everyone has a world that's evolving and amplifying. So to really leverage a company as big as Warren Buffett has built, and the companies under Home Services, and the experiences like Leora traveling around and being all different companies and different situations and things. And Nancy, you coming back and forth, and Angie, you going around in your homes and running everything else and going around and all these different things while we're going during a pandemic. My mind just, I'm like, well, if she can do it, wait a second, let me figure out why, what, how. Leveraging those small yet large ideologies is where we're at, and the simplicity of always looking at the other side of the fence, but looking what we have within ourselves. That's what we pride ourselves here, is going to the depths of finding out what you haven't told anyone else, what you haven't brought out to the arena that you need to just explore. This is one of the gifts that we have here at this organization. So I want to pose the question is, what have you not told someone that would be so valuable to help keep achieving? So we can air it first here, that everyone can see. And the reason I do that is that the story that happened with Leora last night, and you don't know this, Leora, but Tiffany was like, oh my gosh, I am so happy. What I heard from Leora just moved me in spades. So these are the kinds of things that you don't see, but when you hear and you see and get more eyes on it and can sensory what is going on behind the scenes, people really can relatable to it.
Well, I'll
So
just open it. Go ahead, Leora.
Yeah. So without getting too emotional, like the conversation we had last night was amazing, and it just reaffirmed for me what I've been able to overcome. And I think in the theme of keep achieving, it's a tough time for everybody right now. And I know I'm not alone when I say that, mental health is a real issue, and talking about issues with mental health is still very taboo, which I think is absolutely stupid. So, last year, for those who don't know, so last year I went through a very difficult time with my mental health. I was dealing with anxiety attacks every single day, panic attacks every single day. And I almost admitted myself into a hospital because I couldn't function. I couldn't get out of bed. I was terrified to breathe sometimes. And people need to know that you're not alone, and that it's okay to seek help. It's okay to tell people when you're not okay, and to keep achieving is just to keep fighting the fight, and knowing that there are tools out there to help you get through the mental toughness and the isolation and the fear that we are all living with every single day right now. And it's okay to talk about it. We need to break down the taboo. We need to, stop looking at someone who has a mental illness as someone who's flawed in some way, or someone who's inferior. And especially for women, like, why do we have to keep all of this inside? And why is it the assumption that we're not good enough because we might have a mental health issue, or that we're just, we're depressed, or we're dealing with all of those things that a lot of people are dealing with right now. So I'm not afraid to share my experiences, even though if that makes me look like I'm weak, well, that's not my problem if that's how you feel about it. Because I feel that I'm stronger than I've ever been, because I was able to get through that. I was able to seek help. I was able to go to a doctor. I was able to go to a therapist and say, look, I'm trying to fight, but I'm losing the fight. Help me be there for my husband. Help me be there for my children. Help me be there for my employer, because I'm losing it. And now I'm better. And if I hadn't done that, if I had just given up, then who knows where I would be today.
Wow. So powerful.
I feel like we just need a moment of silence for everyone's mental health.
I'm trying not to cry.
I know.
Like, you're gonna make me cry.
You missed the wine down. You missed wine yesterday. Yeah. I mean, we let it go.
Yeah.
So I mean, I literally, and I have to say thank you so much, Leora, because I felt that in my spirit. And last night it basically was a come to, I don't want to get religious. But for me, it was a come to Jesus moment where I had to just stop and collect myself and say, wow, because we forget that life is real, and we're in this bubble, and sometimes we have to let ourselves out So I just want to share, Desiree had said to me when we were talking about doing the video cast yesterday, that everything looks so perfect with you for the year. You're doing all these things with your company, you're implementing these new divisions. And I was just she was like, but everything looks so great, everything looks so grand, but it doesn't look like you have any problems. It doesn't look like you have any struggles. And, the first thing I told her, I was like, we've had nothing but problems. We've had nothing but struggles. The first year of starting something, and then you have to think, I am the first woman-owned brokerage of this sort under this umbrella in Houston, Texas. That comes with a lot. And you have to receive that. And what I was explaining to Desiree, I am a woman, I am a young woman, I am a person of color, and all of those things come with weight that you have to bear. And it's not necessarily within you, it's within other people, and you have to work to get past that. For me, myself, you've seen me do a lot of things with our company and go back and reset and build a foundation. Because first of all, I'm a firm believer, if you don't have a steady foundation, everything you build on top of it is going to crumble. That's just the reality of what I've always seen in building groups and organizations. But for me, I would say something that I want to share with you guys today is fear. For me, I'm always in fear. I'm in fear of failure. I'm in fear of failing the people that are with me. I'm in fear of failing the people that support me. And I think it's okay to say that because it makes you work harder. It inspires me to keep achieving. That's my keep achieving, is the fear of failure. That inspires me to stay motivated, to go out and try new things, to create new things, to create opportunity for other people, and to create opportunity for myself. I think that, in this day and age, if you are not afraid, then you're not human. And that's a big thing, because I feel like a lot of people, especially women, we're afraid to ask for what we want. We're afraid to ask for what we need. We're afraid to be who we are. We are afraid to show the people around us who we are. And sometimes you have to break down those barriers and be true to yourself. And so I love the fact of, the way you shared yourself and exposed yourself, NAWRB, because you were putting it all out on the table. And those are private moments that most people go through every day, but they will not share it out of the fear of how people will receive them. And so I think breaking down that fear and exposing ourselves and showing who we truly are is huge. So I'm just so inspired.
Thank you. And I make sure I'm not on mute. My goal has always been, if it helps one person, then I'm doing the right thing. And it sucks when you feel like you're all alone. And so no one should ever feel like they're all alone, no matter what it is that they're going through, whether it's financial, physical, mental. I'm a storyteller. We're all storytellers. And I've learned, and Desiree has helped me with this, my story is a story that needs to be shared, even if it might be identical to someone else's story or very similar. It helps me when I tell my story, and if it means it's helping one other person, even if it's just one other person, then it was all worth it, in my opinion, in my mind.
I love it.
Too many times people don't want to admit or come out and comment. You have a thing about social media. Well, did you see my post? Yeah, I love your posts. Well, you don't comment, you don't do anything about it. It's the amount of you getting out there now, and I love what you just said, NAWRB, the fact that it helped you cleanse you and feel better because you got it out, got it off your chest. But then how many other people that you don't know, they're actually seeing it, reading it, and helping them? I guarantee you, everything that every one of us puts out there, someone seeing it is helping someone in some way, and they can pull from it because it might not be just that moment, but collectively it's helping. And this is what this is about, the ecosystem of reaffirming that it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay to show up, be your best, and make sure you give your 100%. That's who you are. That's why we're so different. We look so different. We act so different. And that's why I love about it. And so you don't care that you just walked up there and said so-and-so to the president. I don't care. I don't care. You got, because if you don't have, yet I have a fear of getting on a call. I have a fear of talking to one person. But the fact is I can go up there and say, you showed up, you tried, and if it didn't work, okay, go back and figure out what you need to do it second time, third time, and don't give up, because it's when you do give up that it frames you that, well, I didn't get it last time because I tried, so let me just walk away because it's not an easy path to go down. We like to go down easy paths, and right now we're in the time of strength. The survivors of all aspects are going to make it in the aspect, and we need to be there for ourselves, to be there for the ones we love and the ones that we don't know that can see the strength within us. And no matter how much I can say these great things, or everyone else can say great things, there are moments that 1 second we get off a call, one moment we get up out of bed and we're just like, I'm out of here. We have to check in with each other. And that's what's so powerful on this call. I wanted everyone to know it's okay to be not okay, and to text saying, hey, do you have a moment? Can you help me? I have a problem. Can you deal with it? And that's what the silo removal of the vertical is. We all swim in the same ocean.
And it's very Brene Brown, you know, it's, you know, being vulnerable and sharing that vulnerability is what helps people to truly connect on like the highest level as humans. And that's what we all want to do right now is, you know, make sure that we can connect with people. Leora, your story reminds me about one of the things that I haven't told you ladies that we're doing in a 2021 goal is, we've got the plans drawn to install a sensory deprivation tank in our Mission Viejo property. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard about floating, but that is something that has a ton of stats about helping to solve depression, helping with PTSD, helping with physical things. So we're going to be one of the first vacation rentals that has a sensory deprivation tank inside of the vacation rental, with the theme of health and wellness, and come to a space that's a safe place to relax and to recharge and to restart on a better level. So
I may have to come rent your property for a little while then. That sounds amazing. I've never done the sensory deprivation thing. That's something I would definitely, that's awesome. What a great way to set you apart from all of the other, you know, Airbnb properties out there, especially in your area. That's awesome.
Well, and if you guys haven't tried sensory deprivation, it is definitely like for all of us, I know like we're busy minds, busy bodies, busy, like it takes all of it away, and all you're there with is yourself and your soul to do that searching. And it's a really powerful thing to try. I encourage everybody to try it.
I think we need to have a retreat at your.
Yes. I was about to say that.
Let's organize this.
We all have to.
Well,
that was the reason we were going to have the conference. Sorry, we were going to have the conference in Tahoe. Was that very reason to go at the resort at Squaw Creek? We had, what was it, 2 years ago now? A year and a half ago, Angie. We had our certified delegate retreat up at Tahoe at the resort at Squaw Creek. And the walks, the environment to go out there and to be just it for 3 days and in the element. I remember you came up halfway through it and you just flew up and said, I'm here, because you were like, and you had canceled everything to be there because it was you. And we walked away from that. It's not what you say, it's not what you do, it's how you make someone feel. And that what you just talked about, you all, if you looked at the back play of the video when we're done, you're all going to see your faces. Just, you're like, oh, I'm there. And that's what this is all about, is how we make you feel. So thank you for Angie. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, I think part of my 2021 goal is the power to say no. And I think that's part of keep achieving and also taking care of yourself. It's not about just, I know I get my hair done in Vegas and facials and things like that. But I think part of also taking care of yourself is saying no. And we are so afraid, at least for me, sometimes I was always afraid of saying no because I felt like I had to overachieve. We have this imposter syndrome behind, constantly in our head that because, I'm female or I'm a minority or I look too young or all the things that, you say to yourself in your mind, created this fear. If I said no, then I wasn't good enough, right? Or I would look weak because I can't do this. And so you stack on so many things in your plate and you end up burning yourself out. So one of the things that I do want to work on is saying no to things just because. I don't need to have a reason. No, I don't want to do it. And I want to be able to just say no and feel okay with it and not deal with feeling like I'm going to be an imposter, because we're not imposters. We're for real.
I love it.
Nancy,
That
I
is
love that.
powerful. The word no is a big word. It's only 2 letters, but it's a huge word. And I love the fact that you brought that up. And, you know, in keeping achieving, to keep with the theme, I think that's huge. No is a part of your success, in my opinion, because otherwise people will run right over you. So I love the fact that you brought that up. And then I want to go ahead and dive in a little bit more, because we're talking about keep achieving. And I think that that's so crucial, but we are women. And this is, as a women's organization, I heard something very key from you in a lot of ways. But one thing that stood out, Leora, you said about negotiating your salary. As a woman, that is the biggest thing, especially right now. So I want to kind of expand on that and open that up for each of you to talk about that journey and what it was like, because I feel like that's so powerful, especially as we're in the year of the woman, continued from the last couple of years. I think this is the time, as more women, there are more opportunities now being focused on women. I know a lot of corporate companies have put in departments within their HR departments, because we actually work with a couple of them here locally, that have implemented departments within HR to help progress women in business and break that glass ceiling and move up that corporate ladder. So I want to expand on that. Is a part of keep achieving, but I want to expand on, as you're breaking through that glass ceiling and you're moving up that ladder, whether it's corporate, whether it's as an entrepreneur. Let's talk about how you ladies have conquered negotiating your salary or your incomes, or in our case, Angie, commissions. And I will say, even as I was coming up earlier as an agent under different brokerages, I had oftentimes seen where male agents, even though they had a lesser of production than some women, get higher commission splits offered to them, because it was considered where they're the man of the house, they're the head of their household. Well, you have a lot of women too that are head of their households, even if they're married, as far as making more money than their husbands, or either being the breadwinner, or either single mothers. So I want to talk about, as far as keep achieving, breaking through those glass ceilings, moving up that corporate ladder, or as an entrepreneur. How do you ladies, how have you gotten past the stigma of a difference in salary because you are a woman? So I'm going to open that up.
So I'd like to take that on, because for the very first time in the current position that I am in right now, I negotiated for myself. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, prior to, and I climbed up the corporate ladder. I've always worked for corporate. And prior to, I would say, I just didn't know I could negotiate for myself. Honestly, flat out. I did not know that I could negotiate for myself. I was always an overachiever. I did more than just, my job. And I felt that as I climbed up the corporate ladder, I was so appreciative. And because I felt like I was lucky because I was climbing up the corporate ladder, that I should just take what they were giving me. Mm-hmm. There's something seriously wrong with that. But I didn't know that. I didn't know that in the beginning. I said, oh, because I don't have this degree, or because I don't have this, again, that imposter syndrome. I didn't know that I can negotiate for myself. Well, when they scouted me for this current senior vice president position, I said, you know what? I'm going to negotiate myself and see where this leads me. And men do it all the time, and it's just normal. But I think that they have a lot of years on us, right? In terms of
That's
negotiating, they have that example. My mom was not in corporate, you know. Think about like my previous generations, it was more about being a housewife and being a good wife and being a you know, a good female, being obedient. So for me, it was a cultural thing. But also I didn't have an example. But in my aspirations to keep, you know, keep achieving, I've always like joined different organizations, talked to other women, you know, groups like this, and other groups that I've joined helped me realize like, oh, you negotiated for your salary? Like you said how much you wanted to get paid? Like really? You could do that? Oh, you negotiated more vacation time? You negotiated a sign-on bonus? What is that? Oh, you can negotiate for your for an exit plan. If this doesn't work out, you get an exit bonus. There's so many things that you can negotiate for. And quite frankly, your everyday life is a negotiation, but we don't see it that way, right? Even when we're talking to our children and trying to convince them, like, this is what you're going to eat today, that's also a negotiation, right?
And it's about, and it's about compromise, and it's about, you know, the ROI piece of it. And you're so right on. And it goes back to, you know, when men go to the table on a salary negotiation for looking for a job, what do they come with? They come with their resume, and they come with their list of accomplishments, and they boast about what they've been able to accomplish in their careers. But for some reason, women have this in their brains, and I don't know why or where it came from, that it's not okay to brag about what you've accomplished.
Yes.
But without coming prepared, you know, you can't just go to your employer and say, I want to make more money. Well, why? Well, because the guy next to me is making the same amount, or, you know, because I've been here longer. Tenure doesn't always equate to more money. So there's nothing wrong with having your list of achievements at the ready, and just say, you know, I've done the research. This is what I should be making based on how long I've been in the business and the role that I have. In addition to, these are the things I've been able to accomplish here at the company. I've reduced turn times here. I've reduced, you know, overhead. I've been able to increase margin, whatever the case may be. And look at all of these awards that I won while representing the company. Look at the good PR that it's brought the company. And so there's nothing wrong with bragging a little bit, because, you know, who else do you have to advocate for you but yourself? And that's not something that I learned until just a few years ago. I always thought, well, I just need to be this mousy person that takes what's being given to me, and I should never ask for more, or say why I should ask for more. So there's nothing wrong with beefing yourself up and being that advocate for yourself.
Yeah, I did that. I did come prepared. I did have my resume. I put all my accomplishments or the organizations that I've led, you know, awards that, you know, I've had received. So I did that. And I flat out said no to the first offer. When they gave me the offer, I said, this does not make financial sense for me. And
I want to stop, and I really want to harp on that. I just want to repeat what she just said. She said no to the first offer, and I'll just let you keep flowing, Nancy. This is amazing.
Yeah, I said no, which normally I would have not, because that in my mind, and I was afraid when I said no that I was jeopardizing that opportunity. So I don't want people to think that I wasn't fearful of that, because that fear was still there. But regardless of that fear, I said no. And the reason for that, and I was gracious about it. I wasn't like, oh, no, not like that. I was still gracious about it and said, you know, thank you so much for the opportunity. You know, I cannot accept this offer. It just does not make financial sense for me. Silence. I said nothing else. And I wanted that to really sink in their minds. And it, you know, they did come back and said, you know, well, what do you feel comfortable with? And that's when I came in with my research, because I did do my research in terms of what is the average salary in this position. And I said, you know, it doesn't make financial sense for me because of X, Y, and Z, right? I told them where I was at currently in my position. So if you want me to leave, you have to give me, you know, a real reason to wanting to leave a company that I'm happy with. And I gave them the data, and then it was back and forth. And it took 9 months.
Wow.
But I doubled my salary.
That's awesome. That's so powerful.
There's power in that. And I love the fact, because Desiree and I talked about this yesterday on the podcast, patience and timing. So I love that you are just putting it out there on the table that you were afraid, you were fearful, and it took 9 months and you had to go back and forth. But just as we talked about yesterday, anything worth having is worth fighting and waiting for. And you are the epitome of what it takes. And in this case, you did something that I've always told people, and I'm still a firm believer of today. You have to teach people how to treat you. And in that 9 months of saying no and presenting the data and putting an X, Y, and Z on the table, you were teaching them how to treat you. I love this.
Yes. That is so awesome.
Love it, love it, love it. Well, we need to wrap up. So anyone have one parting word real quick? So, because I got to close it out real quick. Parting word.
So for those that haven't read the book, Lean In, I highly recommend it. And it just goes back to what you said, Nancy, and with Tiffany and Leora and Angie, we all talked about, you know, we just got to lean in, right? And not let the imposter syndrome take over, right?
Yes.
I've got that book's on my list too.
I'll read that one. And I'm feeling forward, Leora. You're gonna love it. One of my mentors.
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to read it.
So Angie, real quick. So Angie's got her home ownership fair for Chapman University. NRB's been a proud partner and co-hosting on our website on January 23rd from 10 to 1. So make sure you look at NRB's website or YPN or Angie Weeks website. It's all out there on our Facebook and LinkedIn.
Chipday.com.
Yes, yes. And we'll have it on our recap on this. And so thank you all for coming and sharing your lovely stories and powerful stories and amplifying Keep Achieving. I just want to let everyone know that on February 4th, Teresa Powell-Smith, that we've heard her name mentioned so many times, that serves on the NDILC Council. She'll be champion our third principle, which is believe whatever the mind can conceive, it can achieve, which is really powerful what this is about. Remember our hashtags are NDILC 10 Principles, NDILC Leadership. And I want to thank everyone again for listening and the view and sharing this information. But most importantly, of all things, keep achieving, be safe, and be healthy as we go through this, because there is the light and we have an everyday occurrence and making sure that our soul is really set forth. So thank you all very much and have a great one. All right.
Bye.
Here.